Bonjour tout quelqu'un. Aujourd'hui, nous allons apprendre grammaire pour Kouri Vini. Moi, aller faire tout qui change dans l'anglais aujourd'hui parce que moi, aller tout quelqu'un pour prendre bien. So, we're going to do this in English, um, but we have a lot of Creole going on. So today we're going to do everything in English. This is sort of like a primer. I decided to do this because a lot of people have a lot of questions about grammar. Now, this is not an exhaustive sort of list. This is just kind of some of the things that I've learned over time that we'll kind of go over. Um, some of it is pretty basic, some of it gets into some deeper things, but this is not exhaustive by any means. So there's a lot of things here. Um, that are not covered that we can cover later. So again, my goal is to make more and more videos, some in sort of a lecture style like this, and some sort of like really off the cuff, just kind of everyday videos of everyday life stuff. Um, but I just need to find the time for everything. So, vamos commencer. So we're gonna form a grammar sketch for Kouri Vini based on the following words. And as we need more words to kind of get a better picture of what's going on, we'll add more words. But I really just kind of wanted to stay with like a basic set of words to form a very basic sentence and then show how the grammar can change the meaning of that sentence, that exact same sentence, by adding small nuances, right? So we'll start with the word and its meaning. So the first word is mo. Mo means I. Manger means to eat. That's our verb. So we have our pronoun mo. We have our verb manger, and poisson. That is our noun, which means fish. Okay. So the standard sentence structure for Kouri Vini or Louisiana Creole is subject, then verb, then object, which I kind of have given you here. So the subject in this case would be me, I, right? The pronoun. The verb is given to eat, and the object that I would be eating is fish. So the subject is not always a pronoun. If I'm talking about um, an object or an unknown person, I can say different things, which we'll get into later in a different video. But this is the standard form. Now we can add adverbs and adjectives and um, negations and things like that to this certain structure, but the standard structure kind of follows this form. Okay. So to start, if we put this together in a sentence, we have mo manger poisson. I'm really big on trying to understand pronunciation. Now, I'm learning myself, so some of the things, some of the ways I pronounce things may not be correct or not the best, but I try my best to help people with pronunciation because I feel like that's sort of the hardest part for people. So I'm not using an IPA pronunciation guide. One, because the characters are very hard to write in the program that I use to make these slides, but also because a lot of people don't know the IPA pronunciation guide. So I'm going to just use a standard English sort of pronunciation guide to the best of my ability, right? So when I think about this, this is the way that I would do this, right? So this would be Mo. This is like John, but Mon, right? So Mo, Mon, J, uh, Poisson. So I try to break it down for each syllable. So any video you see from me will kind of work in that fashion. Okay. So what does this mean? This means I eat fish, right? I to eat fish. So I eat fish. Um, Technically, this is somewhat of like a simple past. So more specifically, we can think of this as like I ate fish recently. Then we'll get into the particulars of recent past, recent future, uh, things completed in the past, habitual past, things like that as well today. So, okay, we tend to use pre-verbal markers in Kouri Vini or PVM, pre-verbal markers, and we use that to specify tense. Like, am I talking about past tense, simple past? Am I talking about right now, future? Things like that. So the pre-verbal markers are Very similar to what a conjugation would be in Spanish or traditional French, right? So we don't technically conjugate verbs in Kouri Vini. We use a marker to specify the tense that we're talking about. So the first tense that we have is te, okay? Te is our past tense, things that have been completed in the distant past, right? So te is the past tense marker. If you ever see te by itself or kind of not with a verb, you could think of it as was, right? So it signifies an action that was completed in the distant past. So for instance, I would say mo te manger poisson. It's me trying to say it slow for you guys. Mo te manger poisson. That means I had eaten fish or I ate fish long time ago. So this could be like if somebody asks you, "Hey, have you ever ate fish?" You would say, "Ouais, moi t'ai mangé poisson." Yeah, I've eaten fish, right? So this is like a long time past that you wouldn't say "moi t'ai mangé" to somebody asking if you just recently ate some fish like 20 minutes ago. This would be possibly yesterday, last year, 10 years ago, if or if you're talking about telling a story where you're like, yeah, I was doing this, and then I ate some fish, and then we went and did that. It would be in that sort of tense, right? Yeah, I went to the store, I bought some fish, and mote manger poisson. I ate, the fish, and then we went and did what we had to go do. Okay. The next tense is ape. Okay. We also use app without the e, accented e at times. It really just kind of depends. We won't get too much into that right now. It doesn't really matter to be honest. So generally you'll see ape. Ape is the present tense marker, meaning something I'm actually doing right now in the moment. This works just like the suffix ing for a word for a verb in English, right? So this would be like running or eating or sleeping. So this is the present tense. This is something I'm doing like right now at this moment, right? Uh, since ape begins with a vowel, it has an elision, right? So what that means is that it kind of combines with another word. Elisions are very, very common in standard French. Um, for us in Kouri Vini, it really only happens with a pre-verbal marker that begins with a vowel and if we come back here, and our subject, right? So if we have a subject and a pre-verbal marker that specifies the tense that begins with a vowel, then we would use an elision. Okay. Okay. So what does that mean? It means that a letter gets dropped. Okay. And the elision, I'm sorry, only happens when the word that precedes it ends in a vowel as well. So a letter gets dropped, an accent is introduced, and it kind of combines together as a single new word. So again, elisions in Kouri Vini only occur with pre-verbal markers. So instead of saying mo ape manger poisson, it would be m'ape manger poisson because mo ends in an O and ape begins in an A. That's two vowels together. We would drop one of them, which would be the O in the mo. We would throw in an apostrophe, and we would kind of combine it to a single word. So this would be ma pe manger poisson. This is I am eating fish, right? I'm eating fish right now, right? And so that again only happens when if we come back, subject ends in a vowel, and our pre-verbal marker begins with a vowel. Okay, so this would turn into mape, or as we'll see in a second, we can combine te and ape together, so a past tense uh, continuous, and there would be an elision there as well. Okay, so te and ape are allowed to be used together to talk about something you were doing in the moment in the past, right? So mo tape manger poisson. This is mo te ape manger poisson. I was eating fish. Okay, I was eating fish, right? Versus I ate fish. Like, yeah, I ate fish at one point. This is if I was telling the story, like, yeah, we're sitting around at the table and I was just sitting there and I was eating some fish. That would be how I would say this here. Mon tape manger poisson. Okay. And so up next, before we talk about text, the next tense marker, right? The next pre-verbal tense marker. Let's discuss verbs a little bit. This will help us in the discussion of the next tense marker. So for verbs, like I said before, we don't really have conjugations, but we do have what are called long and short forms, um, short and long stem forms. So a conjugation is we use the tense markers for what we would use conjugations, right? Because in Spanish, standard French, when you conjugate a word, you conjugate it to help specify who you're talking to. Am I talking about myself? Am I talking about you, somebody else as a group, or what have you? Or am I talking about myself and what I want to do in the present, the future, the past? Am I telling you something about what I want you to do in the present, future, or past? So that's what the conjugations are for standard French, right? English, Portuguese, things like that. We don't do that in Kouri Vini. We have these tense markers, but we do have short and long-term forms of verbs to help specify is something universal or is it something that was more recent, right? So short forms are used for the following. We use them for habitual or universal actions. So when I'm talking about something that I always do or something that is always true, I would use the short form. Okay. If I am giving a command, like come here, go over there, get that out of your mouth, right? I would use a command and I would use the short form for that. So the standard term for that is the imperative, right? So I'm trying to stay away from standard English terminology because a lot of people who study languages are not familiar with those kinds of terms. So we're going to keep it kind of generalized here, right? The long form I would basically use for every other case. Okay, so I only use the short form for two sort of instances. Any other time I use the long form. When you're just learning how to speak, you can use the long form for everything. You don't have to differentiate between the short and the long form. Everyone who does speak it will understand what you're saying. So you don't really have to worry about this until you get a little bit better. And then you can start to use the short form when you're really trying to emphasize a command or a universal truth kind of thing. Okay. So here's an example. Mon mange poisson. So this is the short form. You see that there is no accented E here at the end of manger. It is the short stem form. And so this is saying that I eat fish, meaning like, yeah, I eat fish. This is something that I do. I do it all the time. Like every Friday, I'm gonna eat fish. Every, what have you. But I eat fish. Like that's what I do. I eat fish. Mon mange poisson. Like yeah, I eat fish. Right. Monte mange poisson. This would be the past tense. Like yeah, I ate fish all the time. So this could be something where we're not talking about one specific instance. Maybe you don't eat fish anymore. Maybe you have an allergy, but you're telling a story about how you used to always eat fish. Like, yeah, mote mange poisson. And like, I ate fish until I threw up that one time because I ate too much or I broke out in hives. So this would be like a universal, like, yeah, in the past, I always ate fish, but maybe now I don't. Or you can be talking about how you always ate fish when you would go visit your friend's house. Like, yeah, I would go to my friend's house and we always ate, like, we would eat fish, right? Mote mange poisson. So that's the difference between manger poisson and mote manger poisson. Now, again, if you use the long stem form for this, yeah, it loses a little bit of your intention, but people will understand what you're talking about. Okay. So, mote mange poisson. I would eat fish all the time back then. So I didn't put the little pronunciation guide for this one because we already know how to say te, and I pretty much have already told you this. So a couple of these I leave out when there's nothing new to talk about. However, mange, you guys have not seen mange before, so I tried my best to pronounce it, to write it how I would pronounce it myself, right? So mon mange poisson and mon te mange poisson. I would eat fish all the time, or I used to eat fish all the time back then. Okay. And then the last use for the short form would be a command, mange poisson, right? Eat fish. So maybe you're like, oh, um, my memory's bad and the doctor said I need to eat omega-3s. And I was like, eat fish, right? Like that has omega-3s, like mange poisson. Or maybe I'm telling you to eat your fish and I'll say mange ton poisson. And so it would be a little bit different here, right? So I can use this as a command and I can use it as a universal truth for either in the past or just all the time. Okay. So we have what's called a conditional marker. A conditional marker is like, I would do this if I was able to, right? And so for that, we use say. So say is my conditional marker. Say is used to signify something that I would do, right? So, moi sais manger poisson. I would eat fish, right? So if someone's like, hey, you want to go eat some fish? I'd be like, yeah, I'd eat some fish, right? Um, or maybe they're asking about a specific fish or sushi, right? Like, hey, would you eat sushi? Yeah, ouais, moi c'est manger sushi, manger poisson. I would eat that, right? Um, future markers, we always use the long form of a verb, right? So we're going to get into future markers now, and whenever we use future markers, we always use the long stem form. Okay. So our first one is a or va. These are interchangeable. Some people like to use a, some people like to use va. Me myself, I started off learning Spanish, so va is a little bit more natural to me to use than a. Depending on the area you grew up, you'll see a lot of the a instead of va. Okay. So again, on and va are interchangeable and they signify an action that will be done sometime in the future. So this isn't like I'm gonna do it soon in an hour. This is just, yeah, at some point I'm gonna do this thing, right? So if I was like, uh, yeah, at some point I'm gonna ride roller coasters that go upside down, or like, yeah, at some point I'll end up buying a car, right? So this is just, it's gonna happen at some point, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's soon. It could be very long in the distance. Like, yeah, at some point I'm gonna retire, right? So for us, when I say mova manger poisson, that means yeah, at some point I'm going to eat fish, right? So maybe I don't eat fish, and someone's like, hey, are you gonna ever try fish? Ouais, moi va manger poisson. Yeah, I'm gonna eat fish. Or it could even be something more like, um, I bought some fish. Are you gonna come over and eat it with me? And I would say, yeah, ouais, moi va manger poisson. I was, the next one is aller. Aller, it means the same thing. It's still a future tense. It's something I will do, but this is something I'm gonna do in the near future. Okay. So this could be, I'm gonna do this in a few minutes. I'm gonna do this in an hour. I'm gonna do it later tonight. I'll do it at the end of the week, but I know I will do it soon. Okay. So again, mo ends in an O, and aller begins with a vowel, right? So there would be a elision. If I used a here instead of va, instead of mo va manger poisson, I would say ma manger poisson because the M and the A would elise together and this O would drop and I would have an apostrophe there and I would consider it as one word. So for aller, I would say m'aller manger poisson, which is basically I'm about to eat fish, right? Or I'm going to eat fish soon. Okay. The next two pre-verbal markers are a tad bit more advanced. Um, normally you see like more advanced users use these. You can get by without using them at all, but it's nice to know them. And what they do is they combine a pre-verbal marker with det. Det is, it means to be. Okay. It is our verb that means to be. So the first one would be sra. You also will hear sa as well. And so ra, sra or sa means va plus det, right? Or a plus det. So it means it's something that's going to have in the future, and it will be. So this means will be, right? In the future, to be is will be. So sera would be will be. So if I say mon sera manger poisson, this means I will be eating fish, right? So if someone's like, hey, what are you going to be doing in an hour? I'll be eating fish, right? Mon sera manger poisson. I will be eating fish. Okay. Serai is the same thing. It's a combination of instead of va, it's se, right? Our conditional, right? With det. So instead of like, yeah, I would do that, this is I would be doing X, Y, Z, right? So mon serais manger poisson. I would be eating fish. Okay. So mon, so se and det would be would be. I would be eating fish. When we negate a sentence, we use the word pas. So in standard French, it would be ne, something, something, your verb, whatever it is you're negating, and then pas, right? Here we don't use the ne, we just use pas, and the placement of pas is important. It kind of specifies the level of negation that we're doing, okay? So there's two ways of negation using pas. One is in front of our verb. If we put pas in front of our verb, it signifies that we do not do that action at the specified moment. Okay. Um, we always use the long form when we put pas in front of our verb. Right. If we put pas after our verb, it means that we never do that. And so, since we never do something, it's a habitual or universal truth. So, we use our short form of the verb, right? So, in front, we use the long form. Behind, we use the short form, right? So, here I would say, Mon pas manger poisson. I didn't eat fish, right? So, it's like, hey, did you eat that fish that was there? No, mon pas manger poisson, right? I didn't eat it. I didn't eat the fish. But if I said mo mange pas boisson, I'm using a short form. So I eat always, never fish, right? I don't eat fish. Okay. Mo mange pas poisson. I don't eat, no, I don't eat fish. Okay. If we want to talk about specificity, right? So maybe I'm talking about a specific fish that I ate. I use the post noun determiner law. Okay. We can also put law in front of our verb or in front of our noun. I'm sorry. But I'm going to talk about that later. It's not that it's that much different. It's just that for Kouri Vini, it's kind of unique that we put law at the end of a verb. So I don't want to put the more, I don't want to say Frenchified form, but the more Frenchy form is to have it in front, right? So more like Vini style would be at the end of our noun. And so it would be something like Mon manger poisson. I ate the fish, like specifically that fish. So if someone's like, hey, who ate this fish? I'd be like, oh, wait, Mon manger poisson. Yeah, I ate that fish. Like that's I ate the fish. Okay. We don't always have to put law. We really only do it if we're being very, very, very specific, right? If it's like I'm talking about a specific fish out of many, or if someone, is particularly talking about a specific fish, or I want to point one out of many, I use law. So law is we don't always have to use it, um, but we do when we're trying to be specific, right? So otherwise, if I don't use this determiner at the end, law, poisson can be used interchangeably for a single fish, multiple fish, or just fish in general. So if I don't specify anything here, poisson could just mean a single fish. It could mean multiple plural fish, or it could just be in general fish. And generally, it's fish in general that we use it for. Okay. So la means here. The actual translation for la is here, not the as you would think. From like learning Spanish or traditional uh, French. Actually, in French, law means here as well. And so, what we're really saying by poisson law is, yeah, I ate that fish that was here. Like this fish here, I ate that. So when I say law, when I think about it, it means that I'm saying, yeah, that one here is the one that I ate, right? So we can be more specific with other noun determiners besides just using la. There's multiple for nouns. One is sala, and sala is sort of like that here, right? So that specific one is how I think about that. To me, I always think of sa as meaning that. And so since la is here, I mean, to me, sala means that one here, right? So that specific one. Mo manger poisson salade. I ate that fish specifically, right? I ate that one. Okay. Sila would be like this. Okay. So we use sila to represent this specific one. Male manger poisson sila. I'm going to eat this fish, right? So, mon manger poisson salade. Yeah, I ate that fish. And this fish right here, I'm about to eat it, right? M'aller manger poisson salade. I'll eat this fish. For plurality, we have another noun determiner, which we call yay. Okay. Often the determiner is left off for plurality unless again we need to be a tad bit more specific. If I want to talk about a specific set, I would use yay, but if I'm using talking about fish in general, multiple fish in general, I don't necessarily have to use yay. So I don't always have to use yay, but again, when I'm trying to be a tad bit specific, I'll use it. Okay. Mon manger poisson yay means I ate the fish, right? I ate that set of fish. So you cook some fish, someone's like, hey, who ate the fish? Oh, wait, mon manger poisson. Yeah, it was me. I ate the fish, plural. So we can also use the plurality marker yay with the specific markers that we had before to indicate specific plurality, right? So what does that mean? Sila yay, right? So we know sila was basically this. And yay, so what would be multiples of this? That would be these, right? So if I have this and this and this and this and this, those are these, right? So salaye is these. So male, manger, poissons, salaye, right? I'm about to eat these fish, right? So not just one, or not all of them, but like these ones specifically. Salaye kind of the same thing. We know that saw was like that here, right? Saw, la, yay. So that here, multiples, right? So if I have multiples like that and that and that and that and that, that's those, right? So salaye means those. So mon manger poisson salaye. Okay. I ate those fish. Manger is something recent in the past. And I'm talking about those fish, so it makes sense to talk about those fish that I ate. Yeah, I ate those fish. Okay. So that's our grammar sketch. Again, that's not everything, but that's enough to really, really kind of get started. We have our sentence structure. We have how to talk about things in the past, present, and future, things that I would do, things that I will be doing. Am I going to do them soon or am I going to do them far ahead? Again, for these tense markers, um, you could really just use alle for everything. You could really use va for everything, or you could use a for everything for tension markers when you're first getting started. You don't have to like worry too much about like the differences between va and alle. It's very, very uh not a big deal. Again, most people will know what you're talking about, so you don't have to worry about that. But again, it took me a long time before I knew the differences between them. So I'm trying to like spread the knowledge out as best as I can. So again, let's go ahead and summarize a quick grammar sketch of what we've done so far. So that's all like the important things to get started. So we'll just go through each example, right? So first is mo manger poisson. This is I ate fish or I eat fish. Yeah, mo manger poisson. Okay, I eat fish or yeah, I just ate some fish. Mo te manger poisson. I ate some fish a while ago, a long time ago. Like, yeah, last week, yeah, mote manger poisson. Did you eat those fish that you caught? Right, mote manger poisson la. I ate that fish, right? I had eaten fish. So mote manger poisson. M'appelle manger poisson. So this is I'm eating fish. Okay. Mon te ape manger poisson. I was eating fish, right? Because I, te ape, have an elision. They combine together. So I was in the past, and then the ape changes manger to something I was doing, right? I was eating fish. So maybe I would say, yeah, I was sitting down eating fish and I got scared, right? Mo tape manger poisson. Mo mange poisson. Something I do all the time. I eat fish. That's what I do. Okay. Mo te mange poisson. I used to eat fish, right? It's something that I did. I was a fish eater. Mo te mange poisson. Maybe it's something I still do, but if I'm telling a story about the past, I could say mo te mange poisson. Like, yeah, I used to eat fish all the time. Mange poisson. This is a command. Eat fish, right? Or maybe I'm giving you some advice. Like, yeah, mange poisson. It's good for you. Okay, eat fish. Most manger poisson. I would eat some fish. Like if I had some fish, yeah, I'd eat it. Okay, I would eat fish. Moi manger poisson or mo va manger poisson, depending on which one I want to use. So this is, yeah, I'm gonna eat fish at some point. Like sometime this month, I'm gonna eat fish. Mo va manger poisson. Yeah, I'm gonna eat fish at some point. M'aller manger poisson. Soon, I'm gonna eat some fish, right? This is something that's gonna happen relatively soon, later today. Oh, what are you gonna be doing later today if I call you tonight? Oh, m'aller manger poisson. Yeah, I'm gonna eat some fish. Mostra manger poisson. I will be eating fish. Okay. Mostrer manger poisson. I would be eating fish, right? So they're very similar to mose manger, but mostrer manger. Yeah, I would be eating fish. Mon pas manger poisson. No, I didn't eat fish, or yeah, I didn't eat fish. I didn't eat fish today, or that's not something I do a lot. Mon pas manger poisson. Mon mange pas poisson. I don't eat fish. That's not something that I do. Okay. Mon manger poisson là. Yeah, I ate the fish. Like that one, yeah, I ate it. Mo manger poisson salade. Yeah, I ate that fish. Right? So something like, oh, did you eat the bluegill or did you eat this one? The bluegill? Wait, mo manger poisson salade. That's the one I ate. M'aller manger poisson salade. Okay. I will be eating this fish. Like this fish right here. I just caught it. Oh wait. M'aller manger poisson salade. I'm gonna eat this fish. Oh, and I spelled it wrong. Oh well. Mo manger poisson ye. Okay. Yes, I eat the fish, plural, right? Someone cooked a bunch of fish. I'm like, hey, who ate all the fish? Oh, mon manger poissonnier. I ate the fish, plural. Malin manger poisson s'il. Okay. I'm going to eat these fish. Okay, so multiples of this is these. I'm going to eat these fish. And last is mo manger poisson salé. I ate those fish. Ouais, mon manger poisson salé. And that's it. Hopefully this is helpful. Hopefully you liked it. I'm gonna try to make more videos, not necessarily on grammar. I'm gonna try to start building up some vocab. So hopefully you liked it. I'll see you guys on the next one.